Are we going live? It says it's live.
We're live.
Amy Baldwin of the Shameless Sex Podcast, which you can find at shamelesssex.com, which I cannot believe you got that URL.
It's crazy, right? I know. Me either.
So welcome everyone to a little live interview, a little educational, not tete-a-tete, whatever good, put in a fancy word that I can't pronounce. I'm so excited to have Amy with us. My name is Reed Mihalko from readaboutsex.com, and this is Amy Baldwin of many different websites, and shamelesssex.com is an amazing podcast, and I invite all of you to go check it out. And we're recording this live today because of Uberlube, which is available at Uberlube.com. And one of my, this is actually true. This is not like Reed's been paid to do this. Like, Uberlube is my favorite silicone lube. And they were a sponsor this year and in past years for Sex Geek Summer Camp. And this year, because of the pandemic, was Virtual Camp, which is a business retreat for sex educators and sex positive entrepreneurs to just learn better business skills. And without Uberlube's sponsorship, like, camp wouldn't financially be able to happen. And I just want to say, John and everybody at Uberlube and Amy have been so generous to me and my projects. And I friggin' love this stuff. And I want Amy to kind of Vulcan mind meld all of her wisdom just around lubes in general. And, you already know that I'm biased towards Uberlube, but the information that we're going to talk about is useful no matter what. Mm-hmm. And Amy, you hold so many roles in the sex ed community and just in the world at large. So to the people watching, if you want to kind of introduce yourself, because you'll do it way better than me, and then we can nerd out on lube.
Yes.
Who are you, Amy Baldwin?
I'm still figuring that out to this day. But today I am Amy Baldwin. I am brand ambassador. I go by also just lead educator for Uberlube. My job is much more educational than it is sales. I've worked for Uberlube maybe 7 or 8 years now. And just so you know, I actually was the one that went to Uberlube. I already love their product. I've been using it for years. I heard about it from Megan Andalou, another sex educator that I love Megan. Yeah, we love you, Megan. And I love their product, used it for a couple of years. And I'm the one that went to them and said, I love your product. I'd love to represent you. They had to think about it for a good year or so. And now it's just been the most wonderful working relationship. So I am biased because I do work for them, and I am also not, because I was a huge fan even before working for them. I'm also a sex educator like Reed, so I teach sex ed workshops about more about pleasure and how to enhance pleasure in your life. I'm a sex and relationship coach, so I work with clients on their sex and relationship stuff. Privately, although now it's all on Zoom, still private. And I'm also co-host of the Shameless Sex Podcast. We've been doing that for over 3 years with my best friend / co-host April, who also works in the sex toy industry. And it's educational, playful, informative. We do weekly episodes. So I've been doing this since I was 18. I'm 35 now. So my passion is, just like Reed, is teaching people about sex and how they can live their most awesome sexual selves. And part of that to me is really about helping people not eradicate shame, but learn about shame and all the blocks that limit them from being who they want to be, and knowing that we're all different and we have all these social constructs and traumas and experiences that have shifted a lot of folks' abilities to really tap into what that is. So that's me in a nutshell. I also co-own a online sex shop called purepleasureshop.com. We used to have a retail store that Reed used to come and teach for us in Santa Cruz. I own it with my mom, mother-daughter sex shop.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. We love you. So yeah, I wear many hats, but I'm excited today, not only just to talk about Uberlube, but do a little bit of a lube 101, because there's a lot of, from working with Uberlube and also just being a sex educator, there's a lot of interesting information that I've learned about lube, and whether it's safety or quality or different ways that you can use it, compatibility, etc. So
yeah. And also, like, just I mean, just to mention it, right? Because we're recording this during the pandemic, during Black Lives Matter. And like for people for whom this works for their nervous system, like pleasure.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're self-isolating and whatnot, and trying and wrestling with, how do I be a better person? How do I help the world be a better place? Like pleasuring and self-pleasuring can be really useful and good for your immune system. Like there's all these cascade of things, and adding lube to your routine can be super, super helpful. And, and it just like in our culture, we just don't normally reach for the lube. And lube, just generally speaking, when you're playing with genitals of all types, enhances sensation in usually very good ways. So I just want to kind of like note like where we are in history right now, and that a lot of people are, their nervous systems, their social lives, like everything's kind of, there's a lot going on, and to take the moment to drop in with yourself, to get into some pleasure, can be really useful, even in times when you're not stressful. So again, like, thank you for being willing to kind of help us nerd out and wrap our heads around what our body's needs are, so that we can take care of ourselves more.
Yeah, I love that you said that. Actually, I could use that reminder pretty much every day, especially when things get hard. That pleasure is medicine, and during hard times, and also pleasure with ourselves, and that embodied connection and experience. Especially when things are so chaotic up here, that can be utilized as a way of grounding down, getting back into here in a way that can be, a resource. So not to take away, just to talk about all this fun lubey stuff and take away from what's really going on, that is still very much present here. But I love that addition, that this conversation and pleasure in general can be a really important resource as we work with all the heaviness that's going on.
Great. Where do we want to start?
Let's talk about lube. Okay. So lube. So let's see. One thing I'll start with is just their lubricant. There's, in the sex educator world, we all know that lubricant is great. It's a bonus. It's an addition. And as most sex educators would say, we all own lube. And most of the people that we sleep with, if they didn't own lube, we'd be like, what the hell is going on here? So lube is not something that is for people that are broken. It's not for, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with anyone if they want to or need to use lube. My personal belief is that everyone should own lubricant. One, because the body, just because you are turned on doesn't mean you might not have natural lubrication in the moment, based on hormones, based on, you could have some blocked glands. I had blocked glands, my Bartholin's glands, which are responsible for vaginal lubrication, were blocked. I had to have surgery on them, actually. So Uberlube really came in handy for that. Also, if you're on antihistamines, stress, menopause is something that will shift that as well. And then let's talk about anal play. The ass is not so great at lubricating itself.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible at this.
At least mine is. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mine is not very good at it either. So lubricant in general, I personally think if you want to have pleasure and intimate touch with someone else or just with yourself, have really good high quality lubricant on you. Or I always keep this Uberlube in my purse, so I'm always ready to go, but then I have the one for my nightstand. So there's that piece as well when we talk about lubricant. And the other thing with lubricant too is it's here to enhance pleasure or sensation. It's not usually used to take over pleasure and sensation. So the experience isn't usually about the lube, unless you're wanting to use like a warming lube or things like that. It's there to enhance whatever sensation that you're already trying to have there, whether it's skin on skin or with a sex toy, or your skin on your own skin on your own skin. So it should be there to make things feel more enjoyable, more pleasurable. There's more sensation, there's more smoothness, less friction. Less friction is really your jam. So it's a bonus, and not all lubes, in my opinion, are created equal, or maybe equal is not the right word, but they all offer different things. And so it depends on what you are looking for. But some are less and more body friendly. Some are compatible only with certain things, like certain toys or types of condoms. So we can go deep more into that too, so that people can be more informed about that.
We can go deeper.
Deeper. You knew I was about to say that. Yeah. Something really good for deep.
Yes. So one thing I do want to like kind of drop in for me, like as a penis owner, and also like however many months we are now into the pandemic, me diving into and trying to learn, more about anti-racism, approaches and concepts. Like my libido is like,
me too.
And yeah. Which is weird for me, but it's like I'm like, hello, libido. And it's like I'm speaking into a large, empty, dark room. And one of the things that's been really helpful for me is using lube when I'm self-pleasuring, even when I'm not horny, to enhance the sensation so that I can kind of get my foot in the door of getting turned on. Yeah. And I think that that's also something that a lot of people don't think about, or maybe this is just like a penis owner thing. Like I'm like, oh, I reach for the lube so that I can make sure that my partner experiences penetration with more ease and pleasure. But like lube can be great from the even before the get-go, like as a way of enhancing sensation so that you can get into your body, not more quickly, because it's not about speed, but just like I'm struggling right now to get turned on, and lube has helped me. And in some ways, like whenever I pick up my bottle, I'm kind of anchoring all the pleasure I have had with Uberlube. So like this starts to become almost like a ritual. Like my friends who are into rope, if you just threw rope onto the bed, they'd be like, oh. Like for me, because I'm not really into rope, and I apologize to all my friends who wish I were, like you just roll the bottle of Uberlube across the floor, and I'm like, is it that time? Is it that time? So there's also like this, like using lube to get yourself in the mood is something I don't think a lot of people think about.
Yeah. Because
I'm supposed to be turned on and then I reach for the lube.
Yeah, I agree. This is Perry, everyone. He just wanted to say hi, just so you know. Hi, everyone. That's my animal. I like that piece. And that's something that I go through these waves, but depending on what's going on in my life, if there's a lot of emotional turmoil or stress, my libido can go right out the window. And but I also know that for me personally, I won't speak for everyone, as we were talking about that pleasure can be medicine, that I actually, like you, I need to create these, again, just for me, not saying you all need to do this, but these practices, and self-pleasuring is one of them, to help to reconnect me to my body, so I'm not all in my head in an anxiety world of all that stuff too. And I like that what you said about lubricant being, and especially something that can kind of bring back a lot of like the nostalgia of all the fun, sexy times that we've had with this product or this experience. So I'm in that right now with you, Reed, having to actually push myself to create these practices and rituals, even when I'm not feeling connected to this, and that the lubricant actually can be almost like an invitation or a reminder of that, like right on my nightstand. I'll look at it and I'll be like, not feeling that pleasure thing, but I know it's time. And so,
well, and this is where I like to nerd out with you, because there's the other stuff around. So my next question is going to be like, how do we pick what lube, like how to like help us understand that? And the thing I'll just kind of plug Uberlube for is, even on the times when I've tried to get in the mood, and then I was just like, I really, I'm just not in the mood. Uberlube is the kind of lube, and you can talk about the 4 ingredients, but like all I do is I just take my hands and then I'm just like, because it's like really good for your skin. Whereas other lubes are great for sex, but I wouldn't be like slathering them on my body, and then walk around the house.
Yeah.
So that was really always interesting to me, because it was almost like Uberlube is like more kind of like a good skin
Yeah.
product. And that's just, I'm just dropping that in. So
Yeah.
how do we start to think about our needs and our lubes so that we can make good choices?
Yeah. So if anyone's brand new to lubricants, I'll speak a kind of a basic lubricant 101 briefly. And then if people are familiar with it, then some of that might be old information. But so we have water-based or water-soluble lubes, which are actually the majority of the lubricants on the market. Then there's silicone-based lubes, and then there's oil-based lubes. Water-based, water-soluble lubes, they are, your skin absorbs them. They go into your bloodstream. They dissipate on their own over usually a shorter amount of time than a silicone or an oil-based would. Because again, it's being absorbed by your skin. And so sometimes with water-based, you need to either reapply more lube over and over again, depending on what you're doing, or you can rehydrate the area by adding water to the area. It can bring out the moisture aspect of the lubricant again. Water-based lubes are great because they can be used with any sex toy. They're all condom or latex compatible as long as they don't have any oil in them, and also non-latex compatible as well. And so that you don't have to think about that. Does this work with my toys? Does this work with my protective barrier? They just work with all of them, but they don't last very long compared to a silicone. They often, they all have natural or organic matter in it, meaning it's just, I use the word organic, not like what we think of like certified organic bananas at the grocery store. I'm talking about more like organic, just a natural matter ingredient from the earth. And what that means is,
as opposed to like chemical.
Yeah, it was supposed to
Okay.
chemical, exactly. So what that means is anything that has natural organic matter in it, and actually as for a vagina owner, it changes the pH. You introduce that to a vagina, it can change the pH. Now that's not like guaranteed yeast or bacterial infection. But if someone is prone to that, actually a water-based might not be their best choice. Also, you hear those stories from people that are really sensitive to lubes. Oh, I got a rash from that one lubricant. It's usually a water-based lube because it goes in their bloodstream. And it might even be the most organic of high quality water-based lubes, but because of their unique makeup of their body and because it's going in their bloodstream, it can cause a reaction. And whereas silicone lubes, because they don't go into your bloodstream, aren't as likely to do that. So there's just some things to consider. Water-based like is a great general lubricant to have, to not have to worry about what you're using it with. Now, what you were talking about, Reed, you're having all over your body. Water-based is not usually something I'd want all over my body. They can also tend to get sticky or kind of tacky over time.
Once the water starts to dehydrate and evaporate, then
they kind of dry up. Yeah. And so it's not a good, you wouldn't use it for massage or things because it's not long lasting in that way. Your skin absorbs it pretty quickly. So I'm not talking down, on water-based lubes. It just depends on what you want to do. I think it would be great to own a water-based and a silicone because they have different purposes depending on, what it is that you are doing. But if you went to a sex shop and you looked at the shelf of lubes, I would say probably 80% of them are probably water-based. Very, very common ingredient or product out there on the market. Uberlube does not make water-based. They only make silicone. And I don't know if you want to have anything you want to say about water-based before I talk about silicone, but you can put that
No, I mean, this is more just kind of the basics. I mean, I know like if for those of you who are nerds and you really want to go down the rabbit hole, then there's like things like osmolality, what's the word? Osmolality, which is the whether the lube pulls water from your cells or has your body's cells like pull water in. And there's a whole, like, just like with pH, like if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, there's a whole other thing. And then, I mean, like, this is 101 and I'm just getting excited because it's like nerds. So we've got water-based. On my nightstand with Allison, like I've got my water-based lube, I've got my my silicone lube, and I might have at any given time like a couple of different choices of water-based because some of my friends and lovers would don't want to use silicone for certain things. and water-based lubes can have a lot of different kind of uses. Like there's thick, jellier, more like thick water-based lubes that are great for anal. And then there's like thinner water-based things that are good for just like clit stimulator. Like everyone's different. And I'm like, you know, kind of like the smorgasbord of like, what would you like? What can we get you? Do you like dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Like your
you know,
gourmet lube menu.
Exactly. You know, it's all about service here at Reed's house. Yeah. So it's mostly like wrapping your head around it so that you can start to understand what is a good thing, what your body needs, or what your lover's body needs, and then like, oh, I'm going to use this lube for this purpose. And like, there's not really one lube fits all.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick one, I mean, if I had to pick one, I would pick a silicone lube for a bunch of different reasons. And me personally, I would pick Uberlube. But again, like everyone's different. And that's the point, is to learn this stuff enough so that you can, you know, make good choices in life.
Yeah, and figure out what works best for you. And if you're having all kinds of types of sex on the gourmet menu, then there might be different types of lube that would work for, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, or your lover has a preference.
Yes, yeah.
And totally. So like, rather than arguing about, no, we're using this lube, like give them what they need because they know their bodies.
Listen, if I am a single person in the world and I go to a new lover's house and they don't have lube, that is an educational opportunity for them. I also always carry Uberlube with me, so that's not a problem. But if the lube they had was something that had a whole bunch of glycerin and all these nasty ingredients that I don't want in my body, because a vagina and a penis and all the bits in between it's mucous membranes. They absorb everything you put on them if it's an absorbable material. And so I want to be careful about what I put in and on my body. So I appreciate that, when not only are we being considerate about what we want to put in our bodies and the lube that we own for ourselves, but for our partners and their bodies and preferences as well. So silicone lubricant is, a lot of times people hear it and they think it's not natural, it's a chemical. And actually silicone is one of I think the most common ingredients in the earth. The earth has a lot of silicone. It is a natural ingredient that is synthesized into a liquid that you can use on your body. And so when you look on the ingredients list of a silicone lube, and we'll just talk about Uberlube, so if I were to look at a water-based lube, the ingredients list would probably be, I don't even know, anywhere between like usually 8 to 20 ingredients, and you can't pronounce a lot of them. And some of them are more clean where you could pronounce them and they don't sound like crazy preservatives. If you looked at the ingredients list of Uberlube, you would see 4 ingredients. The first 3 are just high-grade silicones, and the last one is vitamin E oil, but it's not considered oil-based. It's still latex compatible. So what that means is it's very clean, very, very simplified ingredients. You know exactly what you're putting in and on your body. And it's topical, and your skin doesn't absorb it. It doesn't go into your bloodstream. In fact, actually, if I put Uberlube in my mouth, it would just go right through my body. It can work very well as an antacid. Just kidding. We're saying don't do that. But I mean, it won't hurt you. You can't absorb it. So I know people that actually put it in their mouth before oral sex, just to make things more silky.
Hey, I hadn't thought about that.
Well, and it also
hang on a minute. I'm having a whole epiphany. Because especially some of my friends. Okay, so here's another thing, like nerds. So maybe this is too much information.
No, it's
haven't, because it's the pandemic, I haven't been personally grooming in the ways that I normally would if I was out and about. So like, I need to use more lube because like I am hairier in my genital region. And so now when you said put a little in your mouth, I'm thinking about when and if, please let it be soon, I can actually go out and have sex with other people. I'm like, oh, because I have a couple of friends who are very furry around their genitals. And I'm like, oh, I can give a blowjob, like kind of a little bit preloaded and slick everything up.
Yeah. Yep.
So thank you for that. That's
totally. Just you put a little bit in there and it doesn't hurt your body, and it has no flavor and no scent. That's the beauty of silicones. But again, talking specifically about Uberlube, no flavor, no scent, doesn't hurt your body. So you don't get a mouthful of nasty lube, whether you're just putting your mouth on genitals or you're putting it directly in your mouth. So, and then very body friendly. So when we were talking about water-based lubes before, talking about them going to your bloodstream, that even the most organic of water-based lubes can cause reactions for people because silicone just stays on the surface of your skin. We very rarely hear of people having these rashes or these like hypoallergenic reactions to a silicone.
Oh yeah.
And very rarely hear about it, especially Uberlube, because it's a thinner silicone. It's not this thick one that hangs out and coats and gets stuck for a long time. So this is the other thing about silicones is you do wash them off when you're done using it generally, especially when they're thicker, greasier silicones. You feel like you have a whole bunch of like this thick coating of lube. Uberlube is a thinner lube that while it doesn't, your skin doesn't absorb it, it does blend in with your skin at a faster rate than a thick, greasy silicone would, yet is still really long lasting. And because it blends in, it doesn't provide this thick coating that as a vagina owner, if you have a thick coating of a silicone or a water-based lube, silicone or oil-based lube, it can be hard for your body to do its natural kind of shedding of all the fluids and things that it needs to do to clean itself with it, because there's this thing stuck there. And Uberlube, we're not seeing that as an issue because it's not this thick coating. It kind of dissipates itself or blends in or removes itself over time. So you very rarely finish the experience of, I need to take a shower, I need to get this off my body. It's more like, I want this all over my body. It feels really good. Like I personally put it on my elbows and my arms when they're dry, my cuticles. I put it in my hair. Actually can work with my hair frizzies. I love it on my body. Actually, we'll use it over lotions half the time. So that's just another perk. I won't even use lotions half the time. I will use Uberlube. Now I won't put it on top of it. Instead of a lotion, sometimes on my legs and my arms, I'll put Uberlube on it because it feels that wonderful. And the vitamin E actually does provide a moisturizing experience. So just on that note with silicone lubes, most of them do not have vitamin E in them. They don't add that extra moisturizing component. They just have the silicones that feel really silky when you're using them, but they don't have the lasting effect of moisturizing. And that lasting effect of moisturizing, even after you're done using it, and even water-based too, it might feel silky at that time or moist, but then when you're done using it, sometimes you feel like even a little more dry than you would with a silicone like Uberlube, where even when you're done using it, it can feel like you've moisturized the skin because of that vitamin E. So really great for people who are experiencing dryness, whether it's from, chafing from friction or menopausal, that this can actually help to work with the dryness and the elasticity of the tissue, whether it's as using it for pleasure, sex, or just as a daily practice, putting this on your body. And actually, like, if you're vaginal dryness, you can, instead of using it just for pleasure, you can actually do a daily practice of starting to massage the tissue with this silky product that has a vitamin E that can help to rehydrate the tissue. So we have over 3,000 doctors on board in the US recommending Uberlube to their patients because of that, because they're loving what it's doing for people's bodies.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything quick about just hybrids or oil-based lubricants, just so people can wrap their heads around that real quick?
Yeah. Hybrids would generally be a combination of a silicone meets water-based lubricant, and hybrids are some of them they'll say are completely toy compatible. Some of them they are not, but they're generally all latex compatible for the most part. They usually look more creamy, like a white creamy consistency, and then oil-based lubricants contain oils in them, and so oil-based, they're less common. They are not usually condom compatible, because if you've never done this before, if you have a latex condom, I would say put a drop of olive oil on it and rub it in, and you'll see the latex kind of melt pretty quickly.
A fun thing to do at home: blow up a condom, tie it like a balloon, and then rub oil on it, just so you have the experience of like, even chapstick will degrade condoms, and that's just really useful in the wintertime if you're giving a blowjob and you need somebody to wear a condom or a dental dam and you're using chapstick. It's just good to know these things because that kind of safety level and making sure the condoms stay intact, like that's important for a lot of people. And like, email me if you need like a little coaching and hand holding around like a condom broke, what do I do? Because like that's not necessarily the end of the world either. But like these things, like when you learn them, that's like, oh, wow, I never knew that. And then you can start to feel more empowered around your sexuality and your sex.
Yeah, definitely. So that includes, like you said, chapsticks, lotions, A lot of
Coconut
the oils,
oil.
coconut oil too. And coconut oil is one that's debatable. Sometimes people are like, it is latex compatible, but I still would never risk it. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Now, the other thing about oils is that if someone is prone, vagina, vulva owner is prone to getting yeast infections, oils can actually be problematic for them. So they might want to stay away from that. Whereas, water-based or silicone, actually my belief, silicone is probably the best thing for them. Toy compatibility, water or oil-based lubes, it's hit or miss. It depends on the toys. My recommendation would be probably not, with silicones, if it's really high grade silicone, it should probably be okay, but some of them are blends. And then on that note, silicone lubricants, it is not recommended to use them with silicone sex toys. It used to be, the belief was that if you use high grade with high grade, so high grade silicone with high grade silicone sex toy, it might be okay. But we, as at least at Uberlube, we can't advocate for the ingredients in the sex toy. We only know about our lube. So we recommend using a water-based with your sex toy, and or if you want to use Uberlube with your sex toy, put a condom on it. Or here's the other thing. Honestly, if I put Uberlube on pretty much any sex toy and I wash it off after I'm done using it within, an hour or two at the most, it's probably going to be fine. But we can't promise that.
Yeah.
Just for your own sex geek knowledge.
And you're washing it with soap and water. And then this is the thing that I run into. So let's say like it's hot and heavy. We're using silicone lube, we're using Uberlube or whatever. And we didn't plan on using sex toys, but things go in that direction. All of a sudden we're using toys. We get lube on it. I'm well-meaning. I'm going to go wash it after, but like we both fall asleep afterwards. Like we're just like, we pass out from the pleasure. Yeah. Or I pass out with myself for the pleasure. And then now it's like an hour or two, or it rolls under the bed because I've had that happen and I forget about it for the next day. So it's been sitting with lube on it longer than I was anticipating. And that's just human, but I don't want to ruin my $120 favorite dildo. So when you can remember, if you have the resources, like put condoms on your toys, just in case you forget to wash it immediately. And it's just like, it's a great safety precaution.
Yeah, then you don't even need to worry about it. And also, if you just put the condom on your sex toy and you're playing with it and you don't have time to wash it, you want to keep things easy, you can just pull the condom off and your sex toy is probably pretty clean, at least on that part, maybe not the handle where your hands were. So that's just something to consider for that. Yeah, that
take care of your tools, folks. Professional tools create professional results.
Exactly. It's very true. So so that's a little bit just basic lube 101. And there's so much more that we could talk about that because there's a lot of info about lubricants.
Well, why don't we because this is a good chunk, I think, for people like as a 101 and for people watching, share this with your friends because you might be the geek or the nerd, but your friends don't know this stuff yet. So share these videos. I would love to end on an off-label use for Uberlube. Because I know you know a bunch. And when you started teaching me those things, I was like, what? And then is there any final tidbit, Uberlube related or not, that you would love to leave people with? And then where can we find you?
Yeah, of course. So Uberlube, again, mostly designed for sex, for intimacy, whether it's with vulvas, whether it's with asses, penises, all the bits and all the in-betweens. And
boobs.
It's not—
Don't forget boobs.
Boobs, yeah.
Lube on boobs.
And I was gonna say, it's not just for genitals. You can use it all over the body. So another use can also be for massage. We also have a lot of athletes, or not even athletes, people that are living in, humid places that use it for chafing. So whether it's under the breast, between the thighs, whether you're moving vigorously or you just sweat a lot, or like what they call the chub rub of the thighs rubbing against each other. It's because it's nice and thin, it can help to get rid of that chafy experience. And then we also have people that use as a hair product. Like there's hair salons that carry it, and I have curly hair, so you put it in there too. Yeah.
Well, because my hair is like baby chicken hair. If I don't put something in it, it's all like fluffy, floppy. And I've used Uberlube before when I'm like, oh God, I'm about to teach, and I'm like, my hair looks like horrible, and I'm like, where's the Uberlube? And it really it gives me a nice little sheen. Like I look very healthy.
I could have put some in here. Now that I'm looking at these like flyaways, I should have put some in before we did this.
And that's the other reason why I appreciate the little Uberlube travel bottle. I think you showed one. Like we keep one in the glove box in the car for, just in case. But it's super useful to just kind of have on hand or throw in your purse or your fanny pack or whatever.
Yep, so they're good to go. This is for your nightstand. And all it is, different size bottles, same ingredients in there. And then some other uses. I said massage. Like I said, people use it for oral sex. You can use it as a skin conditioner to hydrate your skin. If you have tattoos, it brings out the color of your tattoos. So many uses for it. And I think there's even a Reddit for like all the different uses for Uberlube. Squeaky doors.
Yeah, Allison used it to fix her bike chain once when she was riding around town, and she was like, "Oh shit!" And then she's like, "Oh wait a minute, I've got lube in my backpack," and that fixed the job.
It works. Yeah, it works really, really, really well. And then just last thing I'll say about Uberlube as a product, I recommend just doing a test of all these different types of lube, water-based, silicones, try different silicones, different types of water-based, maybe some oil, and see how they all feel. It's like a taste test, how they all feel in your body, how your body reacts. Uberlube is described as often, when people use it, I didn't know lube could be this good, or this is the lube, because they're so used to things that dry up quickly or get sticky or tacky. So Uberlube, we have a massive fan base. The return rate, I don't think this isn't a perfect statistic, but when people use it, it's like anywhere between like 80 to 90% return rate. They buy it again, because they are like, oh my God, lube can be this good. They absolutely love it. So I recommend just giving it a try. And most people find that you won't be let down, and see how it works with the body and how it feels. And you may just be upping your pleasure game in that way. Again, it enhances the experience. It doesn't take it over. And that was just last piece about that. When they created Uberlube, they wanted to create a product that was really body friendly, that people love in their body, and also that was there when you want it, and then isn't there when you don't want it anymore. Meaning you have control over it. So water-based dissipates pretty quickly on its own. You don't really have a lot of control. Thick silicones that are really greasy, they hang out for a long time. You feel like you need a shower. You don't have a lot of control. With my dog's making crazy noises right now. But Uberlube, he's a big fan. Uberlube, because it kind of blends in with your skin doesn't absorb it, but because it blends in over time, you don't feel like you need to take a shower and get rid of it. But it also is long lasting, so you have control over the product about in how long it lasts and what it does for you. So last piece about that is just try it, see how you feel about it. A little bit goes a long way. We highly recommend it. And you can buy Uberlube all over. Any sex positive sex shop has it. Although I'll say that most sex shops, if I go to Urban City, like 9 out of 10 in there, whether it's a porn shop or a high-end lingerie boutique, they almost always have Uberlube. So support your local sex toy business, buy Uberlube from them, or also go to Uberlube.com. You can buy it from them. They are a US made product. They're a small family business in Chicago. So you're supporting a family business and that really cares about the world. So go to Uberlube.com. You can try it out there. And I'll give you all a promo code if I can right now too.
Yeah.
If you go and use the promo code I have is from my podcast, but anyone can use it. The promo code is Shameless Sex. And you use it at checkout on Uberlube.com, and you get free shipping and 10% off of your first order. So
can I put that in the comments?
Yeah, you can. Yep. Shameless Sex is the code, 10% off and free shipping. And free shipping, by the way, is only to the 48 states in the US. So not Hawaii and Alaska, not outside of the US.
And hang on, 10% off.
Yep. And free shipping.
And free shipping in the continental US.
Yes, continental. Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, we're very fancy.
Yes, we are. Yeah, aren't we?
Where can people find you, Amy?
Me, I am all over, but the best place to find me will be Shameless Sex Podcast on Instagram or Facebook. Shamelesssex.com will be our podcast landing page. It's also how you can find me for my sex coaching. And in the podcast, just go Google or look up Shameless Sex on any of the podcast apps. And there we are with our weekly episodes. And Uberlube is also a sponsor of us. So we talk about Uberlube all the time. Even if they weren't a sponsor, we would talk about them all the time because we're obsessed. So yeah.
No, thanks for sharing all your wisdom. Uberlube, you know how I feel about you.
We love you.
And thanks for sponsoring my projects and helping sex educators get better business. If folks have questions, reach out to us. You can find me at REID at readaboutsex.com and at readaboutsex all over the place. Amy Baldwin, thank you for spending time with us today.
Always fun.
Sharing your passion. I'll see you in the comments and I'll see you around the interwebs.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Share this video with a friend who needs to learn these things. Yes. And we appreciate you all. Bye.